Turn to ban.
And we're back. Game number 2 of our first best of 3 of the night. IG taking on Rising Stars. Game 1 went by in a hurry as IG took an early lead and didn't allow Rising Stars that early to mid-game dominance they're accustomed to having. And from that point on, Rising Stars never really had a chance to find their rhythm and extend that game. IG leads the series 1-0 in their bid to improve to 3-1 in our overall standings and put themselves in a great position for a run of the playoffs. And really, you know, we've only been at this for 3 weekends now, but these teams who are going to be able to get themselves a 3-1, 4-1 at that stage through their schedule, they're going to be all but guaranteed a playoff appearance come December. So a very important match for Invictus Gaming. Rising Stars with only 1 series under their belt so far in the Eastern Division. They don't want to fall to 0-2. They don't want to end up being one of those cellar dwellers, as we already see these teams beginning to separate themselves out a little bit. Taking a look at the early draft, we can see Crystal Maiden, Nature's Prophet, CM, and Lich, the Ice Queen and the Ice King, really becoming very popular picks, post 6.79. Lich, in fact, usually banned out. We're going to get to see him here again. Nature's Prophet, bit of a throwback, still not an extremely rare pick, but nowhere near as popular as he was just months ago. Then, of course, the Anti-Mage, and that's an interesting pick to me, based on Rising Star's style. But to talk about that and to break that down, Ben Merlini Wu joins me once again. And we saw in Game 1, man, I mean, Rising Stars is just not a team that really plays that well at this current stage of their development unless they're able to get themselves some momentum and a lead early on. And Invictus just never left them that opening. Now they pick an Anti-Mage, which, to be honest, is a little antithetical to the style they've shown us so far.
Yeah, well, they may be just trying to vary things up. They tried an early game lineup. Last game didn't work versus IG, so just trying to crack the shell another way. Anti-Mage, really good versus Nature's Prophet in a one-on-one situation, but that wasn't 6.78. That was when it was very common to have a solo safe lane versus solo off lane. But now that the times have changed, I don't really think Anti-Mage is that good. We may see like a throwback to Lich and Anti-Mage solo middle. We've seen a lot of Lich babysitting in the middle lane, whether it be a Shadow Fiend, whether it just be just any hero that needs farm. Slardar, I think we saw too in D2L. So that is definitely an option for them, and it just shuts down so many heroes, especially solo middles. Ferrari's hero will probably get the short end of that stick in this game, but that will leave up the other lanes. Naga Siren has actually fallen off a lot too. She didn't get nerfed that hard, as long as Siren didn't get touched at all. And Snare and Riptide just kind of hurt her early game and her support potential, but she's still a pretty strong hero. Good versus Anti-Mage for that really long lockdown. They don't really have anything to combo with it though. CM's is like, okay, there's so many ways to disable it. Lich and Anti-Mage both have a mini stun on their ultimate. Nature's Prophet plus Naga Siren, it's like good for like split pushing, but CM's not really a split push hero too, so they just have a mix of everything. They still have 2 picks left though, so they're very, very flexible.
Yeah, at this point they could build a team fight oriented team, or they could build a pure split push team, as you had mentioned. I think you did bring up an excellent point about Anti-Mage and Lich. Lich, a hero who, when we're seeing him picked for the most part, is showing up in mid quite often. Even if he ends up drifting to other lanes after the initial few minutes, does tend to start there, and he actually works beautifully with Anti-Mage, not just in the laning phase, but as they scale together as heroes throughout the game. I mean, early on, if you do end up running a duo mid with Anti-Mage and Lich, his ability to create an immense amount of lane control with Sacrifice, and even though it now gives off the experience in an AoE, that's not really a nerf so long as you're good about your positioning when you do it to make sure you and your carry get that experience and it's not transferred to the enemy, so on and so forth. But having that very potent early game nuke, but more than anything, having ice armor. Between Anti-Mage's ability to blink and the ice armor from Lich, throughout the early and mid-game phases, Anti-Mage should have good lane control if they do decide to run those 2 heroes duo mid. He should have a good start. He'll, of course, be safe because of his innate escapability. But then you also have the ability to tank him up a little bit. So this is a game where Rising Stars is going to have a decision to make. How do they want to build this Anti-Mage? Do they want to build a pure 100% late game Anti-Mage, play 4 Protect 1? Or perhaps do they want to go with a hybrid build, something like a Battle Fury Vlad? We've been seeing a lot of teams and a lot of players kind of err towards that in recent times, especially given the ability you have to sneak a Roshan. If you have ice armor to throw on an Anti-Mage and he has a Vlad's plus a Battle Fury, he can just blink into the Rosh pit and sneak a Roshan from time to time. So I actually really like that pick from them, but it is still, to me, a little bit out of where we're used to seeing Rising Stars play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Anti-Mage pick, at least not this early. It just makes your early game so weak because you almost automatically know what their mid or safe lane going to be, and it's just going to be a little bit too predictable, and they actually don't have the option of fighting early. Like Anti-Mage with just treads or like a Perseverance and Claymore and or Broadsword, he's just useless compared to most other carries, and he also doesn't rush a BKB. So if Invictus Gaming has a really strong 5-on-5, or they force a lot of towers early, then Rising Stars can't really do that much about it. Their AT push is like mediocre at best. Well, now they have a puck, so that's a lot better, but still, I think saving Anti-Mage for a little bit later is just better, just because if you have Lich, Vino, puck as your core, you can go like all out early game, you can go late game if you want to. You want to have that option open just in case IG has something better prepared against you.
Well, seeing Rising Stars, I mean, this does seem to be a 4-protect-1 kind of a lineup. Whenever you grab an Anti-Mage that early, and then you build a lot of damage around it, a lot of AoE damage like Lich, Vino, and puck, that tends to indicate that. And I think Invictus is going with what we both suspected it was going to be, that split push potential. You have the Crystal Maiden, she'll be a roamer early on. Naga Siren and her mana issues, as well as Mirana's, will be helped out a lot by her aura, even if it is just 1 point that we have been seeing. A lot of teams in Invictus, I want to say, was the team that showed us that 1-1-3 build for Crystal Maiden. 3 points into aura before level 6 that really just allowed them to stay out on the map and stay completely active with no fear of running out of mana at any point. But with the Nature's Prophet, the Naga, and now the Mirana, I mean, those are three heroes, Mirana and Nature's Prophet in particular, that are just split push monsters. So I think it's going to be a lot of rat Dota, a lot of moving around. But Rising Stars, I mean, they do have the punching power in their front three with Vino, Puck, and Lich to go and try to take fights early as Nature's Prophet and Mirana both try to get up their core. It's just a question if they're going to be able to do it or if it's going to be a repeat of Game 1. When Invictus, and you made such an excellent point about it, they were just able to pick and choose the fights they wanted to take because they moved better. They just had better decision-making and better map awareness than Rising Stars.
I think it's going to be a very similar game to the last game in the sense that they're just going to pick off kills wherever they can. The last game it was Night Stalker plus Visage and Potom pretty much were the three getting kills. Banana was just split pushing and farming most of the time and doing some support duty here and there. This game they just have like Naga Siren Net into Arrow, or like Frostbite into Arrow, Sprout into Arrow, Alk Stun into Arrow, just like any of those. And if just anyone just gets straight up Arrow, they're going to die too. So and they have like a lot of good split push too with Murano, with the Moonlight Shadow, with the Elite, Naga Siren with the Song of the Siren, Nature's Prophet with his just global teleportation. So I think that Rising Stars is going to have their work cut out for them. And also they have like somewhat good spells versus Anti-Mage too. They have Frostbite, which you can't blink out of. They have the Net, and they have two very, very long duration stuns. So these disables, especially without a Shadow Demon or early Force Staff to protect him, is going to be pretty difficult for him to survive, even if he gets his items. That's the thing. Like, even if he gets his Battle Fury in like 12, 13 minutes, he still can die fairly easily. So now we see a last pick Panda out of Rising Stars. I saw it played earlier by Sigma, and they used it pretty effectively. It was versus a troll middle, so you can counter some miss with some miss of your own with Drunken Haze as well as Drunken Brawler. Right. And he's just very good at melee heroes in general, and he controls team fights very, very well. He kind of forces carries to get BKB, because if they don't, they're just going to get Cyclone. But and if they don't, they're going to get Drunken Haze too, and you can't do any damage during that. So that's kind of cool about him. He's a decent middle. We saw him like way back in the day, maybe like a year ago, a little bit less than a year ago, but he has just completely fallen out of popularity. He has gotten some buffs though. I forget what exactly he gets for his pandas now, but I think each of the pandas get a new spell.
Now the pandas get his typical spells. One has Thunderclap, one has Drunken Haze. So the idea, like, there's debate on whether it's a buff or just simply a rework, but I mean, just the fact that he can use his, if I'm not mistaken, they don't share a cooldown. It's not something I've actually seen in practice, but I'm pretty sure what the Brewmaster can do now is blink in, clap, get off the Drunken Haze, and then split and have all of those abilities ready to go again. So you can clap.
Certainly takes a lot more micro.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, just being able to chain those together that way and have Drunken Haze on a hero like an Anti-Mage for double the time that you normally would, or close to it, just based on nothing but pure cooldown manipulation. I mean, I like the pick, but it's something that needs to be proven. I mean, we saw that with the mid Venomancer, and this is kind of another game where you have to commend Rising Stars for not just being like, well, okay, let's just go ahead and do what we know we think we're good at. They're trying to be creative here. They're trying to catch a very good Invictus Gaming team with some surprise picks. That takes courage, and really that's very important for their development as a team. And even though we're arcing towards the end, hang on.
TY has Orb in mid. We may see a very, very early first blood.
Yep, here we go. There's the Sentry, and the ensnare goes down. Here's Banana there to follow it up. This will be your first blood. Pay the man.
Why did he orb out? Like, what is he? I have no idea what CTY was doing. He had orb. He could have orbed out. You can definitely orb, like, while you hear the sound charge. You know, it's not like he didn't hear it going off. So, I mean, CTY may be a good mid in terms of CS, but in terms of, like, actually dying and awareness and using his abilities correctly, he seems... I mean, that was just a flat-out mistake. There's no really other way to put it.
We got a two-man smoke moving down the bottom lane. All XDD. Gonna be spotted out. There's the ensnare. Clap slows down How. Can they follow it up? King J right there. The arrow stuns him out momentarily. And looks like they actually decide to not pursue that as aggressively as I would have thought they would. Looks like they weren't really confident about trying to pursue that out that close to the tower. And we'll see if they do want to hang around. Here in mid, CTY, still going toe-to-toe with Ferrari. So this is going to be a mid-Alchemist. That's something worth mentioning. I mean, Alk was changed in the latest patch. And many consider it a pretty big nerf. Really, there's, again, some mixed feelings about it in terms of shifting his priority and when he peaks as compared to where he was before. The fact that his Chemical Rage no longer gives him a flat HP bonus, but gives him a just crap ton of regen, is really a question of debate whether or not that completely negates the hero's usefulness or if it's just simply a change in terms of at what point in the game he's going to feel most potent.
I think it just makes the hero less easy mode and easier to counter, or more difficult to counter around. I mean, like, for example, like the Panda buff, it's definitely less useful if you can't actually micro and you can't actually use all those abilities. But if you're actually a good player and you can use all those abilities, I think it's a huge buff being able to, like, Drunken Haze a target as well as Cyclone, as well as Thunderclap, as well as Stun. Like, you can potentially keep like 4 targets slowed in their attack speed or disabled during a fight, which is ridiculous. That's definitely way better than before. I don't think there's a question about it. And similar to Alchemist, I mean, you can counter. I saw AA used to try and counter the Alchemist ult today, which is pretty cool. And now it's like you actually have to think about the decisions that you make as an Alchemist. If you're going to get bursted down, you need to bounce in and out of the fight to try and dodge some of the damage or regen back up instead of just man mode brute force with BKB. Easy mode like you did before. And same with like Life Stealer, like Rage was kind of a no-brainer. If you even think you're in some semblance of danger, you just rage, and now with a 17-second cooldown, you're really punished if you use it too early on in the fight. So I think like all these buffs are they're nerfs, I guess, if you can't actually play the hero. But if you can play the hero well, it's a slight buff, but it also makes the hero way more situational than before. And this is why we're seeing a huge variety in picks. Banana getting harassed by XDD on bottom lane. I think I hear a Fury on TP. Things are happening.
There's YYF coming in behind. That's going to force the TP. Face back there. They're going to go for this kill. There's a Gale on the Faith, and the arrow connects on QQQ as he lands. There's a clap. They're all wadded up behind this tower. QQQ will end up dropping YYF. Will be able to escape just barely. Nope. Tower got on him at the last minute. That will secure the kill for Rising Stars. A nice return kill, the first one they put on the board. They invested a lot into that, though, in comparison to IG, who took a big risk and ended up coming out ahead, but they get Banana with another Gale. Here comes Faith to try and help. Can they get it? There's the arrow. XDD got greedy and tried to stay on Banana with the Poison Sting and the deny. So IG managing to turn a situation where it was a win into a bigger win, and you understand the Veno saying, you know what, a couple of auto attacks, I'll get the kill. Not only does he end up trading himself, but he ends up giving IG a chance to deny. So 2-5 following that, but only one of them counts for Rising Stars.
I actually think that IG could have escaped with better than that fight. I think Nature's Prophet had a flask on him. He could have flashed the last hit, and Venomancer... he was trying to kill the Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden actually had a Tango and a Salve in inventory. I think they both could have escaped. It would have been really, really low HP, but Rising Stars would have been blanked right then.
So then I do want to point out for King J that I don't think I've ever seen before, or perhaps I've seen it and not noticed it. He's actually doing a stats build on the Brewmaster. He's got 2 points into clap.
I've seen that as a mid build, but not as a side lane build. Especially not
same
with
thing.
First.
Yeah, that's kind of what I used to see it once in a while out of mid, but like so far as like an actual farming Brewmaster going pure stats, it's a little bit different, and just goes to show how much pressure he knows he's going to be under. You do that, you do it because you want to be survivable. You want to have a lot of potential.
1 point in Drunken Brawler, though, gives you a lot of survivability, too, as well as 1 point in Drunken Haze. So I think that, I mean, it's good for offense, I feel like, because you can just spam Thunderclap a little bit more, but the 1 point in Drunken Brawler is just so much value, 10% and 10% level 1.
King J caught with Unstable Concoction. YYF is there as well. We're going to see Faith caught with the Gale and pursued out. We do end up having the Brew drop. There's a kill going the way of Lich with the Nova, and they're going to pursue this out. Rising Stars might lose another, will lose another, as we see the Frostbite and the Concoction securing yet another kill. So Rising Stars does manage to get one, but Sylar spending a lot of time chasing these heroes around. Manifold doesn't get the kill. Now here comes Ferrari. He doesn't have a Concoction, doesn't have the mana for it, but there's an ensnare. That's bad news. IG flat out outplaying Rising Stars in that fight. Rising Stars actually responded fairly well and looked like they were going to be able to walk away with an even trade, but it was bad enough that they lost who they lost. To lose what they lost and then lose Sylar on top of it all because he just wanted to chase heroes around, that's pretty disastrous at this stage of the game, and the gold tells the story. We're coming up on 2,000 gold at 6 minutes in. 6 minutes, Merlidian. We're talking 2,000 gold advantage going the way of IG without a single tower down.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Rising Stars with their early AM pick, they're forced to be in like a very reactive sort of situation. Like IG had 3 heroes at the start versus 2. Okay, that's not so bad. And then Furion comes in and it's 4-on-2. They pick up a hero while a hero TB's in, and then it's still 4-on-2 after the person dies. And they're just always a little bit too slow to react. Ferrari gonna pick off QQQ here, maybe.
They got slowed down. Here comes it. There's the teleport in once more. King J did bail out QQQ, but YYF on the Furion. Able to teleport in. Nope, not done yet. QQQ hung around a little too long. CTY doesn't have anything for Ferrari right now. Ferrari's level 8, has a bottle, has phase, and has his ult up, obviously. So, yeah, those who say that the not having a flat HP bonus for Alchemist means he wouldn't be as tanky, yeah, Ferrari might debate that with you. He seems pretty tanky to me.
Yeah, they're just getting outnumbered everywhere, though, taking way too many casualties in this area. I think they should just let this T1 fall and then just give up like this control of this side of the map and just try and protect mid and top and just try and farm safely at the bottom T2. Like it's just way too rough. They're taking 2 significant casualties right now. They need level 6 on Brewmaster. They need level 6 on Lich. They need Puck to maybe get an item up or 2, maybe power treads before he starts fighting. They can't afford to lose this many deaths when Alchemist hasn't even died yet in this game. 4-0-4 and Ferrari, been involved in so many kills. He's actually going for an early mech build, so it looks like the carrying duties will be on Hao again.
Yep, Hao continuing to play a very good Mirana. King J still short of level 6. Now, this game does have some potential to turn around on the back of Brewmaster ulti, especially if they get good use out of it early. I mean, that's kind of one of the big knocks on the Brewmaster is his ultimate early on is devastating, but as the game wears on, it just gets more and more weak in comparison to the builds of more typical carries. So if Rising Stars wants to have a chance to make this lineup work for them, it's going to have to begin as soon as he hits 6. They really need to take a big fight and really need to start getting some map control back, because as of right now, just look how invaded and warded out their jungle is. And we're going to see them actually go for it again. The arrow will hit it nothing but a creep. Ferrari's behind with the Shadow Blade, will throw it out, and look at that. 3/4 of his health gone, blown up just like that. King J is still, oh no, actually he just hit level 6 there, but doesn't have enough mana to blow the ulti. And this is going to be the end of any sense of free farming for Rising Stars.
Almost out of the tower right there, using his flask and his magic wand to save himself from that death.
Up atop, Sylar
YYF
trying to chase him down. Doesn't have any vision. No reveal. And yeah, again, the game coming apart early for Rising Stars as IG is just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, things are just going so poorly for them right now. Already lost 2 towers on bottom, and it looks like they're trying to continue pressure on top. Ferrari, oh my goodness, what a long-range stun.
Ferrari got the stun off, didn't want to re-engage into it, though. And Lich is just level 4 as well, doesn't have his ulti. Not that it really would have mattered in that situation. But 12-3, and again, even one of those kills is, yeah, at this point, 5,000 gold, and the towers have started to drop, and you can see that second line so close afterwards. It's such a big jump that we're about to go straight to. Yeah, almost 7,500 gold now, the advantage going in that direction. At top, we can see Ferrari playing very aggressive with YYF. We'll see if that's going to prompt a reaction out of Rising Stars.
We see 2 Midases up, YYF about to pick his up, and Potom has hers too. So this gold graph is only going to get larger if they continue to farm, trying to pressure the mid and top towers, but Rising Stars can finally defend these. King J is level 6 right now. He has a TV scroll. I guess he's going for an early blink. He has 1,700 gold in his bank, so things can certainly turn around if they start taking team fights too early. But QQQ on top just gets massacred.
Exploded. I actually made a mistake a moment ago. Thought Ferrari had gone with a Shadow Blade build. Instead, it was just an Invis rune. There's going to be Song of the Siren to slow things down. Going to pop his Invis rune. And Unstable Concoction. There's the arrow. And King J will be blown up before he can ult. Down goes CTY as well. Siler can do nothing but run. And yeah, this game beginning to feel out of reach already. We're just 11 minutes in. And after taking this tower, they may well have built 1,000 gold per minute lead. At this point, once it updates, it's going to be pretty close. But IG just continuing to take away any semblance of map control. They took down the Tier 1 and Tier 2 bottom. Now, the Tier 2 top. Their next prize for that well-executed secret shop gank.
That was just a really well-coordinated Song of the Siren, though. They had Song of the Siren up here. They shot the arrow at the Brewmaster, who was trying to ultimate. He had enough mana, and Ferrari also channeled his stun and casted it on another target that was not getting hit by the arrow. So, I mean, they just coordinated that so well. Rising Stars really just had no chance during that last fight. And, I mean, Song of the Siren, traditionally it's used to set up with, like, Ice Paths and stuff like that, but it also works for arrow, also works for Unstable Concoction, too. I've seen the Unstable Concoction combination for quite some time now. Puck working on his blink dagger, I suppose. 1,300 gold. I mean, they're trying to save with gold right now, but like once they get their blinks, they're not going to have any damage though. Like, where is their damage output coming from? Maybe like a really sick chain frost from Lich, but Lich isn't even level 6 yet.
And nope, ensnare on the Siler, just hanging out, taking some last hits. There's the arrow to follow it up, and the Unstable Concoction. Siler caught with the chain of abilities. There's a coil to try and to counter initiate, but it really just doesn't matter. IG able to zone them off this Tier 1 using Freezing Field on the Crystal Main. Just look how little damage everything seems to be doing. Blink Dagger done. Blink Dagger done on the Brewmaster, and maybe in his dream of dreams he'll be able to land an ultimate. XDD very low. There's an ensnare on the CTY, and I'll tell you what, the runes for Ferrari have been phenomenal. He has a haste rune this time, gets into position. They do manage to clean up a couple that time. They get the Veno as well as the Puck. And hang on, King J looked like he might ulti, but thought better of it. He has yet to use his ultimate. I'll tell you what's disturbing. When you look at the last hits, it's kind of a mixed bag. And in fact, tops on the board is the Anti-Mage. When you look at the net worth, though, 5 of the top 6 all belonging to IG based on nothing.
He's forced to go Vanguard.
Yeah.
That's how bad things are for him.
It's based on nothing but tower and kill gold that IG has every hero on their side this far ahead.
Evil's greed and Midas's. That extra source of income. And things are just falling apart completely for Rising Stars. Once your anti-mage is forced to go Vanguard, you know you're in a really, really tough situation because there's no way he's going to be able to catch up on farm. Yeah, sure, he's 6 last hits above Potter right now, but with all their T2s down, all their T1s down, 13 minutes into the game, anti-mage is kind of forced to farm pretty much just like in that area right there, and that's all he can do right now. IG has full control of the map right now. They have offensive observer wards on the top hill in the opponent's jungle. They're going to do Roshan right now with a minus armor. Do they have a medallion? Nope. But they have the acid spray and they have Treant, Force of Nature, and they have an arrow too. So this thing's just going to drop very, very easily. If worse comes to worse, they can just Moonlight Shadow or Song of the Siren. They're completely prepared for this fight, provided Naga Siren doesn't get caught. And looking at Faith's position, he's just doing very well, just chilling out. If they orb in, just Naga Siren sleep, pick up the Aegis, and then turn around and fight him. So no problem there.
So we've got 1, 2, 3 Hand of Midases. Hang on 1 second. We'll commentate this fight and I'll make that point. Faith able to shut this down. Roche taken for free. Siler kind of left hanging out here. There's the ensnare to follow it up. Ferrari just tanking through all of this. There's a Gale that catches a couple that might prevent them from pursuing out. Siler will actually get the kill on the Crystal Maiden, and the arrow will be swung wide. Ferrari slowed down. There's the Unstable Concoction once again onto the Brewmaster. And Starfall from Marana. I mean, at this point, that was about as bad a fight as I've seen IG take in a while. They were caught out of position. They were all slowed. Their chain of initiation wasn't there, and they still just kind of walked over top of them. Siler, once again, caught with the ensnare. He's going to be earned as well. And here comes the Unstable Concoction onto CTY. Arrows there, not even needed. Lich Ult will go off and do a bit of damage, but with creeps around, few unfortunate bounces. That's really smart play out of YYF to summon those treants to mitigate that Lich Ult. But anyway, QQQ next on the list. Yep.
That is so rough.
What can you say? That was really like the play there. And it's just a little thing from YYF summoning his summoning his trees or his flowers in this case to give a few more targets to the Lich Elf. But point I was going to make, IG had at least 3 Midases and at least 3 Necro books by the end of that game. So certainly they know what they like, if nothing else, Merlini.
Yeah, that was extremely rough. One interesting interaction is that the Primal Split units don't actually get slept by Song of the Siren, and that's why the fight went somewhat poorly for them. King J just went man mode or panda mode on the Crystal Maiden. She just died there. But I mean, what really can you say? 23-4 in favor of IG. IG just dominated even harder in game 2 than game 1. The gold grab, I don't even want to look at. Anti-Mage Vanguard, that tells a story for you.
Really does. And if anyone who's questioning, again, you know, IG having been a bit remade over the last few months, and everyone was wondering just how high the potential ceiling was for this team. I believe we're beginning to get a look at that. I mean, Rising Stars, again, they're a team who's struggling in their own right, so I don't want to make it out to be more than it is. IG, however, made it look easy against 5 unbelievably talented players on this Rising Stars squad. 15 minutes, 22 seconds, all the time it took IG to improve their record to 3-1 here in the standings of the Eastern Division. 4-23, the final kill score. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, and our first series of the night in the books in a hurry. So we're going to have a bit of downtime. So there's some other Dota to go watch. Make sure you go watch and support other streams. We certainly want you back here coming up in about, I'd say, probably an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, because that's about how much time it's going to take for us to have our second series of the night in line. We do have 3 series tonight, and our second one again coming up next. But make sure you stick through all the night. We'd love to have you here. Or if you happen to have to bail out, or if you happen to have not caught the series so far, make sure you check out D2L.gg, the website for the HyperX D2L, split in the 2 divisions, East and West. And you can go and check out all the VODs, all the standings. We've got every piece of statistical information you could probably and most possibly want, and all that fun stuff. So again, make sure you check out D2L.gg. Again, I'm AC, Ben Merlini Wu, joining me for the cast. We're going to have some downtime. Go play a game of Dota or 2. Go, go try to get some rares. Go buy a key, open a chest, and then bitch because you got something to hear you don't need. That's how it works for me. Anyway, guys, stick with us. We'll be right back here on the HyperX D2L, our second series of the night coming up.